But there are women out there, countless women who don't have a voice and are faceless, nameless, who actually are the real begums. Let's look at India, rural India, for example. Women who go out there and till their land, give birth to their children in fields, deal with their abusive husbands, and go out there and live their lives and put food on the table without being celebrated.
Of course, patriarchy is a part of the world we live in. So it will be reflected actually subtly or not so subtly in any work of that depicts society today.
Hi guys, this is Ankita. You are tuned into peepingmoon.com, and today we have with us the Begums from Bombay who are definitely going to tell us some more details about their upcoming series, which is already getting a lot of eyeballs from the fans alike. Welcome the cast. Hi Pooja, Shahana, Plavita,
Hi.
everyone on the show.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. This is a question for everyone out there. Why did you guys collectively choose, or was it a deliberate attempt to come on a Women's Day with this particular series? Was there a particular reason that you wanted to pick that as a date?
Let's first start by saying none of us decided that date. We do not have a say in this matter. Let's make that very clear. Though we're very happy that that's how it's played out. But
So
it's not our decision, really.
But we're very happy with the decision.
Yeah.
I think the universe conspired, and I think that the wonderful marketing skills of Netflix and I think Alankrita's kind of brain might have worked in that direction as well. And I think that it's all come together. When we set out doing the show, it wasn't planned that way, but I think that things have been falling into place in the right way with this show somehow. The timing couldn't be better for a tale like this to be told, and I think the day is just perfect.
Why I ask this? Because most of the times we often hear that why do we choose a particular day to celebrate a woman, and why there has to be one particular day dedicated out to someone who is part of our lives 24/7, be it any from a mother to wife, say it any relation. And that's the reason I asked you guys that a particular day to celebrate a particular series, or it just happened by chance.
Well, I think all of us here, and I speak on behalf of all five Begums, I think that we are all of the belief that since we are half or perhaps more than half of humanity, we do not really need the generosity of the world to accord us one day to celebrate ourselves and each other. But since that day has been earmarked for us, I think what it does is kind of helps us to amplify what we are feeling with a lot more kind of forthrightness. And I think that somehow what the show is eventually saying, and eventually what the topics that it actually touches and actually delves into, I think the day allows us to kind of say that perhaps more vehemently and puts the focus even more on women than an average day would. So I think it works well for everyone. So no complaints here.
Also, I want to add, I think it's interesting because it will be a celebration of women beyond the obvious. I think it's a celebration of female characters that are not always likable, not always doing the right things, but who are discovering themselves, who are putting themselves out there as they are real, vulnerable, and learning and growing from their life experiences. So in that sense, maybe it's a way of beginning to celebrate women in more than the ways that we already are used to celebrating them as the kind of exemplified, putting them up on a pedestal, goddess-like way. We're also all real human beings, and one, like you said, should be celebrating all kinds of women, all kinds of women, all kinds of characters.
I had the privilege to watch the series, and without giving out anything, I just loved it. But I still have one question: why it's called Bombay Begums? I genuinely want to know. Like that is one thing I couldn't make out, despite completing the series in one single go. Why Bombay Begums?
Well, I think that's again, it's Alankrita, and I think that when we put the trailer out, I think that she put it very well on her tweet, where she said because Begums don't necessarily only belong to mahals and palaces. They can be in boardrooms as well. They can be, like in Lily's case, in a world that's very far removed from royalty in that sense. But they've also been part of royalty in a way that perhaps the actual Begums have not been. So I think that is why. And I think that was well put, because I think that we're all queens of our own little world. And at least this show allows us to kind of somewhere revel in that. And really, it is a celebration of, like Shana said, diverse characters, diverse women. And I think coming back to the International Women's Day, I think that, when we say that we don't need a day, that again is our privilege, that we can say we don't need a day. But there are women out there, countless women who don't have a voice and are faceless, nameless, who actually are the real Begums. Let's look at India, rural India, for example, women who go out there and till their land, give birth to their children in fields, deal with their abusive husbands, and go out there and live their lives and put food on the table without being celebrated. So I think that we need to celebrate that day for all those voiceless people who do not have a voice. And that's why it's a good kind of marriage in that sense.
One thing which is very interesting about this, you see, I would say, performers, actresses of your kind from every different and diverse group, and nobody is telling a story which is, in a manner, as we said, too glamorous or too glossy. The stories which you guys are telling is honest, is something which is not so likable maybe in the first place. How was it when each one of you picked up the script and it went through your character? Or was there a time where maybe you wanted to swap characters? Because there are certain ones which are so delicious when you see them. And luckily, I did see.
Well, I had the privilege of age. So since I was playing 49 and I just turned 49 2 days ago, I think that, they, all of them have, in terms of age, they have some years to catch up with. So I had the privilege of age. And I think that it was a no-brainer for me. I think that to get a show like this, to get a part like this, with people like this, with actors like this, with a director like that, and a platform like Netflix, a production house like Endemol, I think it was a no-brainer in that sense. And while there was a lot of anxiety, it's like you can't assume that just because you've been part of the business and you've been a star, and then you've kind of supposedly lost that stardom, and then you get the opportunity to make a supposed comeback. It's not so easy. Because in your own head, you have an idea of how you looked and how people perceive you. To let go of all that baggage and to start anew is a humbling exercise. And for me, it was actually wonderful to be on set and be told what to do, because it was not my problem what time lunch break was being called and whether there was a mess up in terms of, कि अरे यार वो light bulb भी fuse हो गया and the Jimmy Jib is not reached. It was like being on vacation in many senses, but it was taxing. And it pushed the envelope for me personally and allowed me to get under the skin of somebody who's a lot different from the kind of woman I am. And I think that is, for me, the charm of saying yes to Rani, because Rani is not like me. Yet, I brought to it my baggage of 30 years of being in this business. And I think that's what Rani's character needed, was the requisite experience to be able to have kind of traveled that journey, walked that part in life, because eventually there is no alternate to a lived life. And I think that's what Rani's character needed.
Each one. I would like to hear from every one of you on this one.
Lily just wanted to do the thumkas.
No, but you really rightly put that it was not glossy and it was very realistic. And I think that's what Alankrita and Bonila, and it's the way Alankrita has written it also. She was more like, for example, Lily, there is a way sometimes such characters are portrayed on screen, but here her humanness, her soul was more important rather than, she being in a certain, that kind of an image of like, hey, I'm like, that sex worker kind of an image. So for each character, I would say their soul was very, very important. And that's why I think we are hoping that it will touch everyone's souls.
I was really happy to play Aisha, of course, because she's this innocent young girl, just come to the city, really thinks very highly of herself and really thinks that she can be the CEO one day, wants to get there, really ambitious. And of course, she has this major transformation and she goes through a lot of struggles. So, I mean, I'm extremely grateful that I could play Aisha and that I could be Aisha. And if you ask me to swap, when I was reading the script, I was really excited about Fatima's character also, because there's so much of self-realization that happens in her character. But after I watched it, Shahana was so good. I was like,
Oh, you stole my answer. I was just going to say that when I read it, I wanted to play all the characters. I said, oh my God, this is amazing. And I wanted to be shy also. I was like, what an amazing character. And and she's done such a fabulous job. But that was the beauty, that when I watched it, I say this with great pride, that I don't think I could have done it better than any of the way they've done. The way they've done it, there is no way, like I know all of them personally now, and yet when I watch the show, I don't see any of them. I see only the characters. And for me, it's almost like knowing them and seeing them become someone else is just a journey, which is where I'm like, oh my God, it's perfection. This cannot be touched. It cannot be bettered. It cannot be, it can be made worse, of course, but it cannot be topped. So for me, it was almost a moment of great joy to have been reading the script and wanting to play each of those characters, and then seeing, no, there is a reason you were given this and the other person was given that, and we've all been played to our strengths and how. And maybe discovered things also. I don't think any of us thought we'd be able to even do it that kind of justice, but it's just been done, and thanks to Alankrita and Bornila and they've really brought out the characters through. They've used us well.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've been used to the optimum. I think they knew exactly why they were casting each of us. Perhaps we wondered why, but I think that it all adds up so beautifully in terms of everyone has their part to play, and nobody can say this is my story, because each one has been done complete justice to. And each one really kind of complements the other and plays off the other. And it's a wonderful kind of fit in that sense.
Shy.
So I was really elated. I still am. I was really excited about playing this character and playing around with her emotions and feelings, because she's this girl who doesn't express much, but she has a lot of things going on with her mind, and the audience can relate to that because they know what she's feeling, but she doesn't express it. And she's going through a lot of things physically, mentally, and emotionally. And obviously, she's trying to come to the facts that her mom is dead. So because of that, she's trying to, she just doesn't want to get along with her stepmom. She's not close to anyone in that way. And I felt that I can play around with this character and I can try many new things. And through Shy, I also got to know a lot of things of how she gets to know the world from her drawings, how she gets to know the other characters. When she goes to the bank, she has those scenes. She knows what they are going through as well, those little things that she observes. So through that character, I was also allowed to see what all Shy goes through, basically. So yeah, I was really happy to play this character, and I'm really privileged that I got it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe this was my takeaway when I finished watching Bombay Begins. Is there a reason that we all, in stories like where we have women as narrative holders, that we touch upon patriarchy in a manner so that a sense of feminism we can put out, like the full picture of a feminism side can only be put out when we tap upon the patriarchy and the patriarchal issues? I just got a feel of it, and I thought I shall ask you. This is what I thought when I finished Bombay.
One thing I want to say is that, of course, patriarchy is a part of the world we live in. So it will be reflected actually subtly or not so subtly in any work of that depicts society today. In this, in fact, I think it actually gives a rather balanced view of certain kind of men who are not necessarily. In fact, it's one of those shows where, despite it being focused around the women are actually not over-glorified. And they have a lot of men in their lives who are actually not your typical result of patriarchy. Or even if they have elements of it, you see a growth and journey and an empathetic aspect to them in their relationship with their partners, with their respective women. So in a way, I feel like it actually depicts a more realistic picture of the way things are, where there is a shift. Patriarchy is also going through a change, but the remnants or the deep-rooted conditioning of patriarchy that exists even in women is still there and is still playing a part in the interpersonal relationships between the women or the men, or between the characters, essentially. So in that sense, to me, this is a different version of, because, you know, whenever we talk of feminism, like you said, people always think of it as one thing, but feminism is a word that has a very large spectrum, and people have a very different understanding. It's also something that is personally related to in different ways by people. And I think in that sense, this show covers a rather large cross-section of that spectrum in terms of making it about equality of opportunity, choice, and the freedom to decide for yourself based on not just what you're forced to do, but what you force yourself to do as well. So, you know,
What you're conditioned to do.
exactly, what you're conditioned to want. So it actually takes it a step further, where it becomes about internally questioning yourselves as well. Making choices that are coming from within you and not blaming the world around you for it necessarily. So I think it kind of covers a much larger perspective, and it is not just about, oh, men are horrible, or the men are the problem, or patriarchy is the only issue. It's a larger structural, cultural, contextual reality of the world we live in, which is much more nuanced than just feminism and patriarchy, I feel.
Yeah, because patriarchy, like empathy, is not gender specific. And unfortunately, you see patriarchy being played out. And I think that women tend to kind of somewhere perpetuate myths that they really have tried very hard to kind of actually throw off themselves. You know, and I think that we often subjugate the other when we've not been able to kind of get rid of our own shackles. So I think that, I mean, I've had the privilege of knowing a lot more men who are very compassionate, who have great empathy, who have kind of forced me to be far more fair and far less ideas about myself and what boxes I'm meant to tick off. So I think, thank God for those men in my life who've actually allowed me to rid myself of this burden of what an ideal woman is meant to be like. And of course, also the privilege of very many women who I've known, who I have admired from afar, who I've known personally. But I think that women sometimes tend to become exactly what they do not want someone else to be to them. And I think that in this show, there is a lot of that. Yeah. I mean, I think like Rani's character, for example, if she had someone who she could possibly unburden her angst and her trauma to, she wouldn't have covered up half the things that she did, and she wouldn't have approached Ayesha's character, and she wouldn't have wanted this problem to go away. So I think that all of us somewhere carry baggage and carry the burden and expect another woman to pay the price for what we've been subjugated to. And that somewhere needs to change.
Yeah.
And most importantly, I think patriarchy, when we talk about outside, there is a patriarchy inside also.
Absolutely,
you know?
that's why it's not gender specific.
Isn't it? And that patriarchy sometimes, even if, as you're saying, there have been men in our life or the lives of these women also who are good-natured, but still we think about in certain way which is inside us, and it comes with us. We are not even aware.
Like the guilt.
So it's very powerful that, you know, in this series there are these women who are trying to be in a space where you know, their existence is not validated only by a man's approval, you know, and they are just asking for something they want, and they are trying to gain approval from that. This is what I want. Oh, you don't like it as a man in my life, but then I'm sorry, I want it. You know, so this is something which is really good.
I feel men.
We talk about guilt. Sorry to interrupt you, but like Fatima's character, the guilt that you feel for being more successful on a certain level than your husband, and then how you come to terms with that, and then have to fight that. And that one scene, which is this one line between us, and I say to you that, you know, if your marriage can't sustain or can't handle your success, then there's a problem there.
I love
that is such
line.
a telling line, because how many women have put their ambition on the back burner to make the man in their life feel good about themselves? How we downplay our achievements, how we kind of, you know, tone down our strengths because we do not want the man in our life to feel intimidated or feel less. So we tend to do that unconsciously. Do we do it for our
Men-
lovers? We do it for our husbands? We do it for our fathers? We do it for our sons?
And I was saying that men equally suffer from patriarchy. It's not just women. Even if women are working, but they are always expected to be the major breadwinner. So it's not that only women. And like for your question, like Shahana already said, any real story we see, even if it's about a man or a woman, we will see patriarchy because that is real life. Because that is what is there today, even today.
And even the reverse, I just wanted to say, even in, let's say, Fatima's story, you see that there is a moment when Arijay says, well, you know what, when the baby comes, I'll sit at home maybe for a couple of years, and she's the one who's uncomfortable with it.
Exactly. So that's what is patriarchy inside
she
her.
realizes that the patriarchy, like Amrita was saying, is within her. She needs her man to be providing and doing better. She needs that because somewhere it's so deep rooted that the expectation starts living within you, and he makes her realize. And maybe he also goes through that journey where initially he's uncomfortable, but then he's like, you know what, actually not. His focus is more, like he says in the last scene, I mean, I want to have fun, I want companionship, I want love, and she's the one who's actually off on another tangent. She needs her partner to be approved by society, be looked up by, the people that she's working with. She has less of a social life. So it's actually like, it's not how we typically would see things either. There is a constant ebb and flow in this, which is really putting the question back to yourselves. Are we really asking ourselves, are we really looking at where the judgments are? It's not one person, it's not one gender, it's not one class. Everybody has these dichotomies, has these, so to speak, prejudices, flaws, and we have to all learn to recognize them because that's part of human nature, it's conditioning. It's only a matter of being able to recognize where, oh my God, there I was being prejudiced, or there I said something prejudiced,
Before I wrap, Pooja, I'll start this from you. You have produced, directed in the past, and with Alankrita on the helm. And we have 5 wonderful women and even more characters, of course, in the series where we have seen their journeys. Is it a different vibe altogether when you're on set with a woman at the helm telling stories of 5 other women in 5 different perspectives? Or do you think had it been, maybe I'm wrong here, that had it been told by a man, there are men out there are male directors, I would say, who have, of course, told stories of women with equal sensitivity. But I don't know, maybe I'm biased here, I admit it, that when a woman comes and tells stories of 5 different people from 5 different maybe generations and 5 different aspects of life, it comes out, I just see it a little too interpersonally. It becomes more personal to me.
Well, I think the reason that it feels so personal to you, because I think it's very, very personal to Alankrita. I think she's known these characters. Like she mentioned to me once, she said, you know how long I've lived with Rani? She said, I wanted to tell this story and create this character for such a long time. But I think that it is wonderful. I mean, I worked with Tanuja Chandra. I produced her first film. It was a film called Dushman, again, with Kajol in it. And we were dealing with the uncomfortable issue of rape. So that was a unique experience, to put it mildly. And I must thank her for my performance in Zakham because she was a co-writer with my father. And I followed her cue a lot to be able to dig into myself and pull out all those emotions because she's like a power bank and a powerhouse of just raw emotion. And she allows you to just kind of, go deep in there. But having said that, I think that for me, I don't look at it as, I mean, even though we had a lot of women on this set and all of that stuff,
I
but
agree.
I don't think any of us are the type who say, who respond differently because it's a woman or a man.
Exactly.
But I
yes.
think that for me, what was wonderful was to be in a situation where I was being told what to do after a long time. I didn't have to make those decisions about the set. And like I always say, that you can only be a good master if you're a very good slave. So when I decided to say yes to Bombay Begums, I said that I'm coming on as an actor, somebody who hasn't faced a camera for 21 years, somebody who has the privilege of being able to play her age and get a part like this, again, with women who I truly admire in terms of artists and then the kind of women that they actually are, which I grew to understand and know. Shauna I've known from before, but for me, the other 3 were a revelation. And to take instruction. Because I think that having been behind the camera, having gone out there, raised money to produce films, dealt with losses, paid back even when films have flopped, enjoyed your success because those are truly yours. It was wonderful to be able to understand and know that you still had the capacity 21 years later to be able to surrender completely and to be able to be clay in somebody's hand and take instruction without inherently in your heart fighting that. You know, it means that I'm pliable, and it means that I have the capacity to be able to completely break myself down and make myself again. So that in terms of my personal journey, I think I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to rise to the occasion. Like I said, these are women I admire, and they've actively been out there working, you know, and actors are like, we're like machines. We're like emotional athletes, and you got to be out there honing your craft at every point. So you do get rusty when you're only looking outside of yourself. So the whole gaze changes. So it was like going back to school, you know, in more ways than one. And I passed, yay.
How?
Flying, I know, and how?
Thank you.
Also, I disagree with you. I don't think you forget. You yourself spoke about something. I mean, this question gets asked often that, you know, how do you hone your skills? And I think living life is the biggest thing an actor can do to hone
True.
their
Yes,
skills.
and your
I
performance
mean,
shows
there's no
that.
alternate to
isn't
that.
it?
But the thing is,
I agree.
also, I guess what I mean is that, you know, like the world has changed drastically since the 90s.
Yeah.
In terms of the approach to filmmaking, for example. And if I have an example of my father, he's normally a one master shot, one close up, scene is done.
Right.
So when you have to kind of, now there's a multiple camera setup or there's a requirement to do a scene from 4 angles because that's what's going to be best for your performance finally, you need to do the same thing over and over again. And then you can't only rely on your inner resources. You need to be able to bring a certain degree of skill so you don't tire yourself out.
Right.
So that was a bit challenging, but good. Emotional calisthenics, as they call it.
I also just wanted to add about this thing because this is a question. Again, I've actually worked with a lot of female directors and a lot of new female directors as well. But I will say the same thing. And I'm taking this question only to be able to say this, that part of my feminism is to not keep making the distinction as well.
Yeah, I second that.
You know,
Correct.
and I think we're all kind of on the same page about this because it is really about to see a female director or technicians or seeing more women on a set, on crew, is important because it's just bringing a sense of balance in terms of you're one half of the population, and so you have a different way of telling stories. But that doesn't mean that a woman should be only taken on to tell women's stories. You're there to tell a story in the emotional understanding of your being and your personality. You also have a Hurt Locker being made by a female director.
Just thought that. You just grabbed the thought from my brain.
So I'm saying it's really not about, it's not about necessarily just propagating, or you have Zoya who's made a Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. So it's really not about, it's about having representation. So that is important.
Exactly. Right now, I remembered some writers also. For example, in Marathi, we have Vijay Tendulkar was a very well-known writer, and he was known for women characters.
Manto.
The Manto, the way he used to write women characters. So I think this is beyond everything.
Yeah. So I think the connect really comes from how passionately and how clearly a person knows or their material, and how much that, I think, for me personally becomes a driving force to work with somebody as a director who is really, who I look up to because of the body of work they've done, or the way, the passion with which they are connected to that project. Because my interaction with, for me, I am there to propagate their vision, to put forward what they have in mind. So it's just a matter of being able to, for me, it's important that I respect them for that vision and for what they have created in terms of the content, if it is their original content, or for the vision. And that is, you know, not specific to gender at all.
Lovely. And before I say goodbye, I thought that Bombay Begums definitely need a part 2. I don't know, for me, I think that there is more.
Well, I hope
I
Netflix is
just-
listening.
I just thought I'll just put it across to you women out there that do you think in your mind before we part ways that there is more to tell, there is more to share from your characters, just from your characters' perspective?
No, certainly, and especially I think where we've ended season 1, I think it's pretty clear that there is lots more, and you really want to know what on earth is going to unravel further with all of these women, you know, especially, I mean, for me, when I watch it from the outside, I really want to know, for example, what happens to Fatima's, you know, relationship with her husband. I want to know where that goes. I want to know finally whether Aisha is going to kind of remain with Ron or kind of get sidelined again by somebody from the other gender. I want to know how well Lily sustains, and I want to see Shai bloom into what you see her having bloomed into in that sense. And with Rani, it's quite clear just when she thinks life is all hunky-dory and it's all solved, boom, you know what happens and who comes up the stairs. So that means we start all over again firefighting. So there's constant firefighting. So I mean, I think.
But रानी मैडम जहाँ पे पहला सीजन एंड हुआ है मुझे लगता है दूसरे सीजन में काफी पैसा मेरे को मिलेगा आपसे बिकॉज अभी मेरा सब स्टोरी अगर बाहर आएगा तो और पैसा मिलेगा लग रहा है.
Maybe I get Lily to finally be on my side and now kind of be the one who was the master manipulator and is able to kind of.
So हम डील से बियॉन्ड जाके लव अफेयर हो सकता है भाई.
I feel Bombay Begums is very real. It's about like when I watch it as audience, it's you can actually see real characters, like real lives, and in real lives we don't have a happy ending, sad ending, whatever. We can it's just going on and on in life. So let's just hope the same way we can go on and on with seasons.
And we
two
can see
three
Shai falling in
and
love.
5. Yeah.
Shai falling in love. And also I think that what's interesting for me is Deepak's character played by Manish, and to see how vicious he gets, because he keeps saying, don't underestimate my capacity to play dirty. So we want to see how dirty he can actually play and whether we have the capacity to be able to fight that.
So see, you have a season here.
I am so excited. Thank you. Without giving out any spoilers, I loved it, and I hope everyone who watches on 8th March loves it equally. Thank you for entertaining, and thank you for stories. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you.